everybody. Welcome to Boomers to Gen Z. Hi, everyone. Um, okay, so I want to address something that is very personal to me today. It's about depression. And as I think most of you know, for my generation, there were a few people that was like Coco Lee, Sinead O'Connor, Robin Williams, who just committed suicide, right? And from the outside world, they have everything. They have the wealth, they have the fame. I mean, their popularity, and then they have all everything, right? But what drives them to do something like that? Do you know of anyone from the younger generation?
So, if anyone watched Euphoria, the guy called Angus Cloud, they haven't disclosed why he passed, but he actually passed this morning.
Oh.
And yeah, apparently his dad passed away a week ago, and then like he passed, and he was struggling with mental health as well. And Euphoria was such a hit. For those of you who know the show, like you guys know, like I binge watched it in like 2 days.
I have no idea.
It's the one with Zendaya.
Oh, okay.
So like the fact that he passes, like he's at the peak of like his career right now, and he's probably got the opportunity to get booked for so many more jobs.
Wow.
So it's surprising as well just how people struggle, and obviously we don't know, right? When we see these people, we idolize them. We're like, oh, your clothes are so nice,
Correct.
your life is so nice,
Yeah.
but they off themselves, and you're just left there like, oh, like I idolize this person, like what were they struggling with? What am I struggling with? What is my friend struggling with? Like, because we don't know people that way. People don't talk about it because it's not
Yeah.
glamorous, right?
People just don't really talk about this at all. And I just want to ask, in terms of the younger generation, do you see depression or mood swings quite regularly, or how the younger people coping with this?
So I think that depression and anxiety during the lockdown, it was spoken about a lot more, but it was actually spoken about in a way where I think people were throwing around the terms not in the best ways. So like if you see your friend upset, or if people would use terms like, "Hey, why are you so depressed?" So it's taken out the seriousness from it, but with what happened during COVID, I think that a lot of youngsters are facing some sort of it's like it feels like a grief because you're like grieving what things were like before,
Right.
and getting used to how it is now. And I think that we're all struggling. My generation is definitely struggling with having to keep up with social expectations. Where like, oh, we're supposed to be like this by this age, and like that by that age.
Okay, social norms and social expectations.
Yeah.
Do you think that social media makes it even worse?
It does, because social media has created even more expectations. Like we see like 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds running like online empires, and buying cars,
yeah.
and it just makes us feel like, oh, what are we not
Making
doing?
adequate decisions.
Yeah, and then we have like our Asian parents telling us like, hey, basta lah, do this, do that. Oh, why so slow? Have you made this much yet? Have you bought a house yet? So it's a mix of things, right? And it's just I think we feel very cornered, and we definitely go through depression spells, and we get anxiety in situations. What about for people like your age? How
I
do you
think
deal with this?
yeah. I mean, I always dealt with mood swings and depression in and out. But I can't imagine what you guys are going through. In fact, on hindsight, when I think about it, in my 20s, we didn't have social media so much, so that was already a good thing. But yes, we had a lot of pressure from parental expectations. So in my generation, we were expected to be doctors, lawyers, accountants. Anything outside, we are not worthy. But in retrospect, if I think about it, it's really not as serious as what you are going through, because yes, you have that, but I think it's the social media that plays up people like was it Kylie Jenner or Kendall Jenner? Yeah. And she's 21, the first billionaire kid at 21, and setting that kind of, it truly is to me. unrealistic expectations, right?
And it's such a like there's such a small number of them, but because of their popularity and their fame, it
Yeah,
makes us feel like every other person is like this. But actually, if you sit down for a minute and think about it, it's just a handful of them that actually
yeah,
have this.
correct. I think social media has its pros and cons like everything.
Yeah.
Where one of the major con to me is that um, in this instance it makes you got that handful, maybe 2-3% who has made it that way, and then they post all these things, making you guys think that, oh, I have to have big butt and big lips and big boobs, and then I'll be
Everything
successful.
bigger, better.
Yeah. And it's all unrealistic. And yeah, maybe there's some people who may find their fortune and fame that way, but there are other ways of my for me I feel it really sad that people, especially young women like yourself, don't value intelligence, don't value smart conversation, because it, the way the whole social media society works is that you have to have that sexy look and that
Yeah.
big boobs and everything to be somebody, and I beg to differ, because looks can fade but the brain doesn't fade.
Yeah, that's very true. And like on social media, I think that like it definitely has been a center point to mental health issues for people in my generation because even for the most popular people on social media, so people who have what we call like public accounts, right? Like so they post content and stuff.
Yeah.
Women have made the statement that if I post pictures with less clothes, I will get more followers and I will get more likes. And then when you do that, you participate in that, and then when you try to undo it and you want to like be heard, all of a sudden, people are not going to take you seriously. But I don't want to
created
say
that.
that you did it to yourself, but you did. You created that, and then now you're really upset. Now you know it's just like really hard with social media and with like expectations of society. Um, yeah, I think a lot of people are really sad, and then that makes them revert to substance abuse.
Right.
And
So
with the U.S. and like Thailand now, okay, I'm not. Okay, this is just my opinion. Okay, like I'm just putting it out there. But like weed, I understand that smoking weed, it's people say it's all natural and blah blah blah. A lot of countries have started to accept it and things like that.
right.
But if you're upset and you're getting high, after a while, aren't you going to start being curious about other highs and keep escaping?
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you're in this loop. And I know some people who do smoke weed, and their mood swings are crazy.
Oh, really?
Like their mood swings are so up and down, and you might think, oh, you're the chillest person, and this is fine because again, social media tells you like, oh, stoner culture, weed culture, oh, it's fine. Bob Marley smoked weed, Wiz Khalifa, all of these like rappers and stuff. But how does that fit into your life, like
Yeah.
wherever you are? For me, how does it fit into my life living in Penang? Like
True.
on this island, I'm not Wiz Khalifa. I can't run away from the law. I don't just sit in the studio all day making music.
And you can't be paying, I mean, bleeding money just to buy the weed.
Yeah,
right?
and if you're trying to get high all the time, have you ever asked yourself like why? Like why can't you just be sober? Like you're definitely escaping from something, and if you are going through like any mental health issues, finding that escape to make you feel good for like that hour or 2 hours
Yeah.
is definitely not the way. Because one day when you can't get your fix, we don't want anyone else to end up like a Coco Lee or anything. We don't know if they were on substances, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
To end up like that because you just can't get your fix, it's scary.
It's very scary. And I think one of the things that I can share with most of you is that when if you need something to get your high, it's just not a solution. And
Yeah.
and eventually it'll become an addiction. Um, yes, it's painful to address the pain, but in order to move forward, you need to go towards the pain. And this is something I learned very powerful from Mel Robbins and her podcast, is that when you have a challenge or pain, don't walk away from it. If you face it and you face it like a warrior, you may be in discomfort, but you are more likely to able to conquer that.
Mm.
So one thing I do, May, is there were days during my menopause
Yeah.
days that was, I was very depressive, but it was all due to hormonal
Okay.
changes
Okay.
and all that. And I vouched to myself that I'm stronger than that, and I said I need to get this out.
Mm.
And so one of the things I would do every morning, I promise you this, every morning when I wake up, I touch my reflection on the mirror, and I said, I love you, Karen. You're going to be all right today. I would say that, right? And then whenever I have a difficult time to change, let's say, uh, to do a challenge that I was not comfortable with, it's about changing the physiology. So I would do the Superman.
Okay.
So I will do this, and I take a deep breath, and I say, yes, I can do this, and overcome. And it's really, Tony Robbins talk about this a lot, which I'm a big fan of Tony Robbins, is that if you allow, when you see somebody and they go like, and how are you? I'm fine. Even just the sound of the body language that changes. But if you see, even if you're in a bad day and you just say, okay, I'm hi, I'm Karen, and I'm fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that changes. So yes, it is tough, and I can just imagine the challenges that you guys are going through in terms of trying to get work in this AI generation.
We're becoming irrelevant.
Yes, and I believe that it is something that you got to find your peace. You got to find that space in your head to be in a calm and humble space in your head space, and that's super important because society is very brutal and the expectations are very very brutal. But we have a lot more to talk about depression and mood swings.
Yes.
So, but for now, again, just a disclaimer, this is purely our opinion and what we are going through. So I hope that this has been entertaining to you, and we'll talk again next week.
Bye.
Bye.